All right, call this meeting to order. Wow. Stand with me with the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Right, roll call. Councilor Hearn.
I'm here.
Councilor Smith. Here. Councilor Coates. Here. Councilor Hearn. Here. Councilor Miller.
Here.
And Councilor Pointer.
Sure.
All right. All right. Citizen comments. I show we have one.
And I have one on here too.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay.
Turn the mic around there. There you go.
Wow. Hello. My name is Linda Sharkey. I'm here representing the Lakeside Revitalization. So I've got handout, which I'll give a brief. So, at the 2022 review of what we completed this past year, we did complete 2 murals using 2 grants. One of the murals is on the side of the library here, and the other mural is on the side of the creek is actually from a historical picture from this area. The gentleman who's standing was the original owner of the creek. So we also completed the blue and white lettering sign over at 8th Street North Lake, pointing City Hall in the park. We did do 16 banners depicting all the activities that can be done in Lakeside, like ATVing, boating, hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and several more, which I can't remember. They are available to the city. We put on the poles on the lampposts whenever they want to. So, okay. And, we did have the luau at the end of October. That was one of the last things that our president Diane was working on just before her death. So it was a little delayed. We also took over the holiday train from the chamber. And one of the things that I'm also here for is to ask permission if we can continue the holiday train, if we can expand it. So I'm just putting that out. So our goals this year is to increase our membership. So I have just placed some membership applications. Here I talked to Melissa to see if it was okay, if we're out in the hall there. We also are planning on doing a large mural on the side of the caves. But this is going to take a little bit of time because it's going to be very long. It's going to be panels that we're going to put up against the side. And it's going to take several grants and some community effort. So more information on that later. Again, continuing the holiday training with the commission, and where you will continue working with the city for the benefit of this.
Thank you.
Murals are great.
Yes, they are. And you have one online that wants to comment?
Yep.
Hi all, can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Oh, awesome. Shirley Bennell, proud Lakeside citizen and Lakeside rider. And first I wanted to welcome Councilor Ritter to the party and wanted to thank you for doing this. We're thrilled to have you on board and representing the citizens of Lakeside. Next, I wanted to let everyone know that Commissioner Main had reached out to me on Facebook asking me to let everyone know about a town hall meeting that they're going to hold on Thursday, March 16th at 6 p.m. at the Lakeshore Lodge. That's all he said. So I guess my guess is as good as any's what the topics might be. And then I'm going to go over a couple things that I wanted to public comment on. And the first one is the ATV access ballot measure. that was passed by Lakeside voters in November. It still hasn't been put into an ordinance. Last month, we heard that you all vote on the changes, and we heard the ordinance would be brought back to you at this meeting. The people of Lakeside voted 4 months ago. Riding season is upon us. Where I'm zooming from, it's now. But they're at home. Spring break is getting started and summer's right around the corner. Let's get her done. The second item is wanting to let everyone know that I started getting involved around here about 4 years ago when I saw Ken Ireland post about an ATV meeting that had occurred. And I was like, what meeting, when, where? How do citizens know or find out about these meetings? I then made it my personal mission to get information from City Hall and from the county out to the public. I've come here repeatedly and consistently for 4 years, 4 whole years. And we still don't seem to get the public notices out to the actual public on a regular and good basis. I would think after 4 years that some of you would be sick of Lady Shares a Lot showing up. And I'm hoping that one or more of you will make it your mission too. We all spoke about transparency at the candidate forum. Let's make it happen. The third thing is it's been 2 full years since council approved the visitors kiosk and signage. 2 years, and we still have 0 information at that kiosk. I was at the city branding meeting yesterday, super excited to be involved in that. And the representative from the branding company kind of wrapped up the meeting by saying that she envisions Lakeside one day having a visitor's kiosk with information about what's available in our city. And I thought, wow, what a great idea. A $50,000 idea, in fact. And I think she might be onto something here. Let's please get something, even if it's a bulletin board up there, so we can put the event flyers and information about our city, maybe public notices about meetings. I mean, the planning commissioner chair, Mark Crouch, mentioned at a couple planning commission meetings ago that he feels like the only one that knows about when the meetings happen is Shirley. And
So
I
we're
really,
gonna hurry it up here. We're running out of time.
yep, I timed it before I called, so that's the end. I just wanted to thank everyone who's involved and encourage counselors to take on some of these pet projects as your own and maybe see less of me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? David?
David Smith, Lakeside resident. As you guys consider the ATV and also a Lakeside Rider member, as you guys consider this ATV ordinance, I would like you to consider the time. The times do not match up to the dunes at all. Let's say UTV takeover. Can't do a night ride if I can't get there. 4th of July, can't get here if they want to come participate because of the time that you guys have put on it. I would think you guys would want to take that into consideration and keep it open as the dunes time. Thanks.
Okay. All right, any more comments? All right, consent agenda. We have the approval of February 9th regular meeting minutes, approval of March 1st special meeting minutes, acceptance of February expense payroll reports, and monthly update reports from library and planning.
I move that we accept all of the above as stated.
Any discussion?
Who's second?
I see.
Ended.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, consent agenda pass. Adoption of Coos County multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan. Presentation by Debbie Miller.
At the, Madam Mayor, just while she's walking up there, at the end of her presentation also is a resolution for your adoption too.
Oh.
Right, yeah, I wasn't sure. Everybody does, you hear me?
Yeah.
Does it a little different in terms of the resolutions, if I'm reading it, if you're reading it.
Yeah.
So, my name is Debbie Mueller. I'm part of the Coos County Sheriff's Office, Office of Emergency Management. My title is Emergency Coordinator. So, the multi-jurisdictional natural hazard plan has been being worked on since 2019. Our current plan expired in 2021, and it's had participation from the public from all the jurisdictions, being Lakeside, Howard, Bandon, Coquille, Middle Point, Coos Bay, and North Bay, as well as Haynes Drainage District and reports. And it's been a very long process. And it has some different things. I don't know if anybody had the opportunity to look at the final version that is currently online. It is 718 pages. So as we're moving to paperless, we aren't printing them like we used to. We've asked people to view them online. And some of you have participated early on in this process, some maybe not. And the plan, one of the important things to understand about why we do this is so that we can get federal funding to help the county and the jurisdictions to do things. One of the primary concerns for Lakeside is the slide on North Lake Boulevard or North Lake Road. We had somebody from the state out in August photographing it and giving us some ideas of what the funding might be available for that. But our plan has to be in place, and because it expired in 2021, kind of leaves us in a gray area to be able to apply for some funding. So I didn't plan a specific presentation because it's 750 pages. But basically, the premise is that all our natural hazard disasters that could happen, anything from coastal erosion, flooding, tsunami, earthquake, landslide. I feel like I'm missing one important thing. And so what it does is it looks at where is our land right now, what are the buildings? You know, Lakeside has 1,485 structures that could be greatly affected in a large earthquake. You're not, and flooding, of course, is always possible, as those of us that just tour the wastewater treatment plant learn about what happens when the flood water is raised too high. I don't know, does anyone have questions? I don't know where you all got left off in this process.
Yes, several of us are new, but I did about 2 months ago, maybe 2 months ago now, or a month ago, sent out an email to the council letting them know this was coming up. And so they would have time to review the document if needed. So I did include in their packet, and the public can see too, the portions that belong to, that refer to us, the Lakeside portion. So it's condensed down for you also.
Well, the other part is throughout this is since 2019, there have been a couple different people from Lakeside that participated in the process. And the other important piece for you would be to look at the actions, which
They included, yep, they're in there.
you should have. And so those are goals that were thought to be of importance to work on. And you know, will they all get done? Not necessarily, but it gives you something to go with, those of you that are new and thinking about it. It also gives you a place to be able to say, why, yes, this was an action plan item in our natural hazard mitigation plan. Please see it. And so it's an important document to get funding from, and it took a lot of time to get it. And our planner from the Department of Land Conservatory and Development, she worked with each jurisdiction individually as well as with the county overall. And so if a jurisdiction didn't participate, then the overall plan is still covered for your area by the county. Kind of with everything, like if there's a disaster here in Lakeside, the city council will do their best to run it without outside help. If you need help, they call us. And hopefully it moves that smooth.
So does this have any cost to the city itself?
No. It's just,
Mhm.
did you want me to read? So
Yeah,
I
you
think
can.
the resolution kind of gives a better touch on everything. I don't know if the public had enough.
Yeah, It was included in the packet.
Did you want me to read it or did you want to read it?
You can read it if you want. Yeah.
Okay, this is resolution number 2023-02, a resolution adopting the 2023 Coos County multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan. Whereas natural hazards threaten life, businesses, property, and environmental systems in the city of Lakeside and throughout Coos County. Whereas an understanding of the nature, extent, potential impacts of natural hazards is the foundation for developing strategies to reduce and eliminate those impacts. Whereas natural hazards mitigation planning is a process through which understanding and strategies are developed and process for implementation is established. Whereas in the interest of Coos County and the cities and special districts located therein to undertake natural hazard mitigation planning implementation together as coordinated planning strengths, communities, and better serves all. Whereas Coos County and the cities of Bannon, Coos Bay, Copial, Lakeside, Myrtle Point, North Bend, and Powers previously prepared, implemented, and updated a multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan in accordance with the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. These plans were each approved by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, for a period of 9 years. Whereas the Port of Coos Bay, the Port of Bannon, the Southern Coos Hospital, Bay Area Hospital, Ames Drainage District, each participated during the 2023 Coos County multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan in accordance with the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000, thereby developing their first natural hazard mitigation plans. Whereas the 2016 Coos County multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan is most recent and expired on September 12th of 2021. Whereas having a natural hazard mitigation plan developed in accordance with the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 and approved by FEMA is a prerequisite for local government eligibility for certain federal mitigation funds, particularly hazard mitigation assistance programs such as building resilient infrastructure and communities, called the BRIC, hazard mitigation grant program, and flood mitigation assistance. Whereas adoption of the updated 2023 Coos County multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan is required for FEMA approval for the 2023 Coos County multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan. Whereas adoption of the updated 2023 Coos County multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan demonstrates the city of Lakeside's commitment to reducing or eliminating the potential impacts of natural hazards and to achieving the plan's goals. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the city of Lakeside that the Lakeside City Council hereby adopts the recitals above in support of this resolution. The Lakeside City Council hereby adopts the Hughes County multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan. This 9th day of March 2023.
Perfect.
Very good.
Motion.
I need a motion.
I move we adopt resolution 2023-02, a resolution adopting the 2023 Coos County multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation.
Okay.
Motion was made by Councilor Pointer and second by Councilor Miller. Any discussion? Any questions?
She answered all.
She answered them all. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I want to challenge for anybody else to say multi-jurisdiction on that. Just for, if people have questions, and review it, or if there's other things that we're doing, the Office of Emergency Management, we are trying to do some public speaking out. I know you guys are working with the CERT group as well, so just I'll leave my card.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I put your literature that you brought underneath that desk.
Okay. So, and I don't know where you'd like it. I brought who's fading maps, because somebody said you wanted those. I also brought Lakeside and Hauser,
Okay.
and the Are You Ready books are 2022. We updated them, so they are all inclusive of our county and Curry County, and have some of the new recommendations about being prepared. And I think there's comic books in there.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You did awesome.
All right. Next up, we have Barnett Resorts, request for reduction in sewer fees.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Chris at Osprey Point of View Resort. My wife Stephanie could not be here tonight. She might be on the Zoom call.
She is.
She on there?
Yep.
All right, Stephanie, can you hear us?
But she's on mute though.
She's on mute
Yeah.
now. Okay, because she might want to chime in because I know she's had conversations with Melissa. First, I want to say good evening, welcome, Mayor and councilors and city manager. It's nice to see some new blood in here. So this is awesome. So good evening to you. Just want to let you know, Stephanie did send a letter, email to Melissa, the city manager. We've been trying to solve this sewer rate issue. The sewers have caught up for the whole entire town. We totally had something taken away and we're ahead to have that put back in place. So Barnett Resorts, operating as Osprey Point RV Resort, is presenting information regarding our sewer bill. You guys might have the packets in front of you. We have a step system, and for simplicity, it's a hybrid where the liquids are pumped to the city line and the solids sit in various tanks. We have to hire out pumping services multiple times a year. 1,000-gallon holding tanks, not like the septic system. But we don't pump the solids in the city, we just pump the liquids. So we have to hire a Cotto Hoover to come in various times throughout the year and pump it. Prior to 2020 and prior to 2017, when we purchased, the city had just set a rate for the sewer services provided to Osprey. I don't believe any of that math and determined that rate was retained for any of us to come from. But in 2020, an audit was conducted, and I have provided a copy for you that you guys should have. And in that audit, we were charged the same rate as the rest of the community. But since we only received partial service, a credit was given for the pumping that we performed. And I was here 2 years ago in front of council and the mayor, and we got that resolved. In regards to that audit in 2020, I came before the city council to show that the credit was quite short in comparison to the actual cost of pumping. we were given a small little credit and we have more than one tank. So that was a erroneous error. And we had talked about negotiating a different rate, which we did come to negotiation of that. So in October of 2020, City Council agreed to increase the monthly credit to be closer in line with the actual cost of pumping. But even with that monthly credit, this was an increase of 40%. I understand another audit of some sort was done in 2022 and we're going back up. New rate is 63%. The rates keep going higher and higher. And I understand that you guys sent out a letter that we didn't receive that council had made a motion to raise the rates. A portion of this increase is found in the removal of credit in pumping that we have to conduct. So that was taken away. And I think it was overlooked because that was in no minutes that I can find. In 2022, we are being billed the same rate as residents in the city that receive liquids, solids, and services, but we are not receiving those. We're only receiving partial fluids. So we have to hire a common rooter to come out and pump all the poo out of the tanks. And they charge you by weight. So it's like 45 cents a pound or whatever, and that accumulates really quick and it's heavy. So all the liquids go to the city. So we're paying a full city rate and we're only getting partial service. So we're asking the city council to re-implement credit back to Barnett Resort so we can still hire a common rooter to take the solids. We have asked the city if they would do it and they don't want to do it. They do customers, but they won't do it for us. And my wife had called the sewer manager and he says that they don't want to do our resort. We've been doing it, so why should we have to do it? It was quite a rude conversation, but my wife talked to him. I did not. So we're requesting a step credit of $1,500 per month, making the bill adjusted appropriately. That still doesn't cover all the repair and maintenance that we have to maintain of this step system at Osprey. We pay a condo rooter over $20,000 a year. That's just for pumping. Things go out. We maintain the equipment and have asked the city to pump and was told no, but others in the city, but we are not. And there is a letter to show that as well. So there was a meeting minutes on October 15th of 2020. I wasn't here to discuss it. Mayor Edwards was a mayor there, city manager Price, and I was here. And we came to an agreement. We asked for $2,000 per month, and we negotiated $1,250.60 a month based on a private entity that we have to hire out. Since then, the rates went up hugely, and the cost of pumping has also gone up as well. The staff of the council had talked back then. I know Councilor Miller was here, Councilor Pointer was here. They voted also to give us a credit, but that credit was gone. But they were the only two original people in this city that were here for that meeting. There was a discussion about Fern Farms, who the city contracts to or has come out. That was in the notes here to coordinate their trips to include Barnett Resorts to maintain our city tip system. But nobody looked into it. We've called several times to try to resolve that, and we just keep getting no. So back to there's a schedule of what we pay. My wife Stephanie, she's on the line right now too. She's called many times. She's been working with Melissa trying to work this out, but there's a disconnect. Because you don't pay for full service. If you're paying $65, 89 cents or whatever it is per household, and then we have to come and pump our poo on top of that, that gets pretty expensive. We're not getting this full service of the city. So it's interesting, we're a rare entity, but this is the way it was set up before me. And I think Rick Saavedra, Stephanie talked to him and said, that he won't pump our property because we're already doing it ourselves and they don't want to do it. Well, even though they will pump step systems for other customers, they won't include us. So we were asking, why don't you include us? You're charging us full rate, just come and pump our systems every month. So we have been trying to negotiate that back. And just let you guys know that we would like that credit back. The credit was taken away. We didn't even know about it. I came here, it was applied, everything was hunky-dory, and all of a sudden the rates went up, and then they took our discount away, which we pay for Econo-Rooter. So it's not fair. So if you take away somebody's discount because the city's not doing that anyway, then we have to apply that discount back. And we were trying to be more than fair at $1,500 a month. It's expensive to haul poop. And when you have to pump it, I don't know what Herd Farms is. I've never got a chance to have them help us out. But then I've talked to Econo-Rooter, not Econo-Rooter, Roto-Rooter, who I think is contracted out as well. So Stephanie, did you want to chime in on something I missed? She was supposed to be here, but I'm in her place. Stephanie?
I think you covered everything. So I didn't know if anyone had any questions about what you've explained.
Okay, any questions about how the system works?
You mentioned that the city hasn't said anything to you about why they won't pump.
Correct.
You're just told, you were never told why it has, is it something to do with the system that you have? Is that why it's being pumped, or is it?
Stephanie, can you answer the councilor's question on that?
Yeah. So I spoke with Rick on December 19th. I had made some calls trying to speak with the department to find out about what that process would be, like how often it would happen and what was included in the service and everything. And he told me that they won't pump it because we're doing it ourselves and they don't want it.
Now, is this for both the village and the RV park?
Yes.
Well, all of the tanks, I mean, there is a specific tank that's for the village, but you know, we would have to service all of the tanks throughout the property. So I wasn't speaking with him about any tank in specific.
Yeah, we were just trying to ask them to come if you're pumping other people. And Mayor Edwards at the time and City Manager Price even says, hey, we can probably work with Herd Farms. It's in the minutes. So that discussion never happened. I said, well, if you guys come, then that maybe we can get a discount because we were paying the $1,200 wasn't even covering it. But we negotiated that night that $1,200 was okay.
Now, do you-
I have a question. Since I'm fairly new, do the tanks belong to the city or do they belong to you and your property?
Right, yeah, it's all private, so we get no help from the city. So when things break, it's all on Osprey. It's very expensive. And so we pay for liquids to go to the city and we're paying full rate. It gets very frustrating when you're not getting the full service. I get an oil change, but you forgot to put the filter on. Well, the filter is an important component. So we're not getting that full service as the other residents in the city are.
Just had a question for Melissa, and then it'll go back to you. I know there's at least two different types of rate, the gravity fed rate, and there was a second one I think you mentioned.
Correct. So, and lucky enough, Aaron's here to give his update, so he can also speak to it too. The system that they have is a step system, and there are other residents in town that have step systems, and they're charged a higher rate than the $65.89. They're charged at a step rate. They pay more money because we do pump and all this and do the maintenance. The Osprey is a step system. They have to pump. We don't charge them that rate. We actually charge them the base rate of not having a step system. So they actually are credited. If you'll see on their sheets that were included in the packet, they get credit about $12,000 a year off their bill. So they're not charged at the rate that everybody else is in town for having a step system because they do pump their own. And so that's the difference. And then Aaron can elaborate more on the type of system they have and why we won't pump. And he can talk more technical about that than I can. So if you have that question, he's certainly able to come up and answer that.
Yeah, so that's incorrect. We are being paid exactly the rate. We're not getting charged more. You can't charge somebody more for a residential service. So residential service is $65 a month. Doesn't matter who it is out here in the city. So So the city manager was just saying that we charge them more to come and pump their septic if they're on a step system. That's true. They probably do. But we're paying full rate and then we're having to pay extra and to have our food taken away. Stephanie, am I misquoting that? Or is that how you read it as well?
Yeah, that's correct. But I'll just kind of direct them to one of the documents that we included. 1 second. On the top, it's labeled number 1. So this was the audit in 2020. And you can see, I'll just look at the middle box. The third figure down does show a credit for the step system. And so
$400.05, right?
right, that was the original proposal from the city with that audit. And then that was negotiated to $12.15.60 in October of 2020. So this formula here does actually show the full rate charged and then a step credit. So that is correct. So that's what has changed between 2020 to 2022. So on the 2022, we're charged the full rate and there is no step credit. I understand that if we were to have the city provide the pumping services for us, that would cost additional. And that's why I was trying to have that conversation with Rick to see if that would still be more advantageous for us to include pumping and services, as Melissa just mentioned. But they won't even offer that to us. So that rate is essentially useless. That doesn't really apply to us. So we're looking at the 2022 audit and the rate, and then comparing that with what we looked at just 2 years ago. And we're seeing that discount for the step system is actually what has been removed. And that's what we're asking for today.
I have that put back. It was approved by Councilor Miller and Pointer here. They were here 2 years ago when we went through this whole entire thing about our system. They understood it then, and it's understood here today that it's the same thing, that the credit got taken away. Therefore, we're trying to catch up on our sewer bill to make things right, but we can't do that without having a resolution here today. So I'm just asking for a $1,500 credit, which is more than fair, to avoid any other future disputes about this. If we could come to a resolution on that, that would be wonderful.
Okay, you mentioned that you never got a letter or anything that notified you of a change in the fees.
Stephanie, did you mention that?
Yeah, so just to correct, so we did get the same letter that everybody in town received that said that the rates were going up, but we did not receive notification about the city, let me see. So the October 2020 decision by city council to provide that discount, we were never notified that was removed. That's what he was referring to.
That's why we're behind right now, because this credit was not being applied.
But didn't the resolution in itself say something to the effect of that what resolutions that were prior to that were basically null and void because of the new resolution?
Not that I understand, Steph.
Am I incorrect, Melissa, on that?
No, you're not incorrect. No, the resolution's also in your packet. So
Yeah.
yes, it did.
So to clarify, what we were talking about is the letter that we received didn't say that the discount had been removed, not the resolution. I hadn't seen the city council resolution to remove the discounts until October.
And that's what we're trying to do, is we were still being charged, but no credit was given. And we were currently in the past being given that credit to pump our own service. So all we're asking is have that credit reapplied so we can continue pumping.
Okay, but I guess I am, bear with me because I'm new at this, but I'm still a little confused. If the resolution said that the prior resolution and agreements in the past were overridden by the new resolution, then that's part of the resolution then, and that means that your rates, just like everybody else's rates, changed.
Yeah, incorrect. That's not how we see it. So to avoid any litigation on this, we're trying to come to you as a council, say, hey, this is to be fair to our customers. Stephanie, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So there was two different resolutions I think that we're talking about here. So in October 15th, 2020 is when the discount was given. And then we received the letter in June or July, I think, that said that the rates were going up. And we weren't aware that that would remove the discount. And then I did not see the resolution that removed discounts just blanketed until October. And then after I was aware of that, I was trying to work with Melissa and trying to explain how I thought that was kind of a misstep because of looking at a resolution, the sewer rates from the 2020 audit and comparing to 2022, that it looked like things weren't comparing correctly. So I had been working with her in November and December and then trying to get in front of you guys since then. So.
So I have another question, Chris. So you are saying currently you're paying the 65.89 like all the other residential users. According to our rate schedule, if you do have a step, it should be 75.37. So you're already receiving a slight discount being charged the residential rate versus step rate.
So the 75.37 is what we would pay if we were getting pumped, if we were receiving that service from the city, and we can't receive that service. They've told us no.
We'll pay 75, but you guys come and service us.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
So then wouldn't you be paying the 65.89 already reflected discount since you're not paying for a service that you're not receiving?
So we're flushing pee and water, but we're not pumping, we have to pump the sewer, the solids. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense. So Stephanie, go ahead. You have more knowledge on this, I think.
Oh, no, that was just the same comparison I was going to make, is that, it's the same rate that all of the residents are receiving for the full service, and we're not receiving that. And so we're having to go outside to receive all of that and having to pay outside vendors.
Okay. Only one.
Okay, but you are.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but you are getting a discount because if you were not pumping, okay, the city was taking care of the system, you would be paying $75.37 per site. But because you're not getting that service, you're just flushing your solids or your waters and you're dumping, you have to have your solids pumped, you're only paying the $65. So you're receiving a discount per site.
So we're asking for the city to start pumping our resources.
But it says in here also that the city is not interested in maintaining the step system because it was not built to a standard the city would have approved, which is why it's currently privately maintained.
Bingo. So whoever made this decision before us, the system was on DQ with it. Okay. So it's there. And if they did it back then, I have the mayor and all the council and all the paperwork to approve this before you guys. So it wasn't your fault. Okay. But this is definitely a unique circumstance, as we are the only ones that can't get the service. We're asking you either give us a service or give us a credit and we'll go and pay it ourselves.
Have you guys thought of updating your system so that the city can go in and take care of it for you?
If it's not broke, why fix it?
Would this be a good time maybe to Aaron speak to the system? Are you knowledgeable? You know what's going on here?
Yeah.
The system is a private system, put in years ago. We have not done any analysis on it. Only has 4 1,000 gallon tanks. Those sound, just my general opinion, undersized. So he probably does have to pump them quite more often than a traditional house would. Individual pumping costs per each individual tank is probably a lot higher cost than if the tanks were put into today's standards. So there's no doubt it's going to be a higher cost. But the city does not have easements or access to any of that system. That system was put in it was permitted originally, I believe, for seasonal RV type lots. Those lots did get developed into permanent residences, and the system was never upgraded, to my knowledge. And I don't think I've ever seen the system firsthand. I don't know if the system gets additional solids. They have I haven't been out there in a long time, but I believe you have an RV dump station. I don't know if you get excessive solids from that. I don't know if you get excessive solids from breaks in your line, which could be allowed to breathe. So there's a lot of things from the engineering side that I can't answer. I do agree that you do get some solid removal. I can't agree that it's just plain water coming out.
And just for the councils and the Roundnets know this also, we are not charging them for some of their building square footage, and we don't charge them for the dump stations. So we have, I mean, as staff, we're trying to be very fair about this, but I understand their concern, and that's why they're here talking to you. But there is some, you know, I think there are RV spaces, there might be more RV spaces out there than what we're charging them. So again, it's for you, but I want, you know, so you have all the facts.
Is the laundromat and the public showers included in this rate?
Yes. Yep.
So,
Yep.
like I said, all we're asking is get us a credit back so we continue paying common order. Or hey, we'll pay the higher rate. You guys come and pay this every month. That's all we're asking. And if it's a no, then the sensible thing to do is, of course, give them a credit because they're doing it themselves and we don't have to bother with it. So that's what we're asking today. To get the credit back that was already approved, and been in place, and then all of a sudden they take it away.
Was it taken away, Chris? Are you saying it's taken away because the rate increase negated the discount that was agreed upon in 2020? Or was it just erased completely?
It was erased
I can't see where it was erased
Yeah,
completely.
Councilor Miller, you were here.
Yeah.
Erased it completely. The point of you were here. So it was agreed that night. Okay, let's do that. Then continue the service. And then it was just taken away, right? Stephanie, I mean, you noticed that, and that's why we have brought this to attention. It's like, well, where's that?
I was just looking for
Yes, sir.
the.
Chris,
through the
Chris.
Where it was erased. I see where it was granted the credit in 2020. I'm just looking through here and I'm just not seeing it, and it could be here, but I'm just not finding it right now.
Okay, thank you. Staff?
Yeah, Chris, if you just wanted to show them that page number 1, that's where it shows that there previously was a step credit. And that amount was changed in October, but that showed that their process was to give a credit for step systems.
Correct. So there is a matter of record of the credit. There is a record of negotiating, of course, inflation. Of course, you guys have done that with the sewer rates. So we're all on board on that. We're okay with that. We understand that you have to raise rates. We get that. We're not disputing that. We're disputing that we have to maintain our systems instead of the city coming to do it. And we'd like the city to come and do it, but heard what's in the minutes. We were supposed to try to see if we can get them to come and pump us, but there has not been any resolution to try to fix that. That's all we're saying. It is what it is. It's unique. If you know the property is a Bohemia mill site before, and I went back to documents. I mean, this is all approved. It was approved for 300 sites. So we have that document from the city on record as well, but we don't have that. But that was for expansion. That resort was built in 4 phases, phase 1 through 4, and there was a phase 5. We have all the plans, all the original stamping from the city and plans back then. So I'd love to show you that system and how it's a very nice system, how it was all spelled out, but it is what it is today. And we're just saying, hey, if we have to pay for it, why? Have the city come and do it for us, or continue with the credit that we already went through this. I know you guys are new, some of you guys are new here, but we went through this before already, trying to explain it, and it finally got through. So hopefully, Councilor Miller and Councilor Pointer, you guys remember?
We're gonna have to do some research.
Yeah. I know that you would,
Just a question. So, and I see what they're saying. So the middle column, it says audit 2020.
Wait, which page are you on? I've got
It's
one
on
more
page
page.
one.
Oh, from what they submitted, not the staff
Yeah,
report.
yeah.
I think I was thinking.
Well, I'm just gonna add that city council hired a rate analysis done by Steve Donovan to the entire partnership. And we did not look at each individual property, but we did look at was your overall rate and what your rate should be rated to. or to get you on the right track to pay for new wastewater.
I think this is what she's looking at right
After
here.
those rates were passed,
So it says not
after that
agreed,
meeting,
and then
then
this is
the
current, and then is
negotiations
it,
happened
is
with
that true?
2 or 3 individual or
Because
properties.
that's what they're
The
saying.
reductions were made. After a year to a year and a half, an audit of your revenues showed that you actually decreased in your
Okay.
reserve storage amount of money.
There.
Because that was internal, because too many credits were given. The credits that were given offset the rate increase.
Yeah. See
So
what's
then
in
the
there.
council reevaluated rates, set everything aside, so we gotta go back to the base template. Recalculated everyone the same, but everyone back in the same playing field for that table, and that's how they came up with the rates that we're at now.
Okay.
Because the revenue is not being generated to create the reserves that were recommended. Now, as far as the system, I would advise the city, they could pump the system if it was not the city standards. My knowledge, it's not the city standards, they're not easements. The line, I understand that, yes, DEQ did approve portions of that sewer system for an RV park, but once the properties were sold, and they became individual properties, that sewer system for the permanent residences does not meet current DEQ code. There's not manholes, there's cleanouts, there's lines underneath the actual individual homes. That is why I would not recommend to the city to accept that maintenance and ownership of that system. And then the wastewater facilities plan, there is a capital improvement project outlined to correct that system and bring it to current standard.
Okay.
So when phase 5 goes into effect to expand the resorted field that you see out there on the left, that was part of the other phase that was approved for additional sewer sites. So we're trying to, not at that time, we'll have to put in a different system that meets with today's standard. And we already went through this with city manager Andrew Carlstrom. And that was a DEQ thing. And we met with them too, because we tried to say, why can't we just pump it to the city? And they said, no, we'd have to put another step type system in. Even if we came to today's standards, we could not have it go directly to the city.
Melissa, they do get a discount, correct?
Yeah, that's those 2 sheets showing that they are not. So like I said, there's other, the STEP system is a system we have in place in town
Yes,
for other
I get that.
users. They are not paying for that step. So other users, their waste, their liquids come to us.
Yes.
And then they're pumped. They have a
Mhm.
tank. It's the same system they have. It's just the Osprey Resort is required to pump their own. So they get a discount,
Yes.
which other users in town do not get. So they are credited the $12,000 a year for the pumping of their own solids.
Okay.
Stephanie, is that right or not? I don't think that's right.
Well, I know that's what they say, but I don't understand how we're comparing to that when that's not an option.
Doesn't.
Okay, I'm confused by what you just said, Stephanie, because if you're paying,
Counselor, can you?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, sorry.
if you're paying less now than other people who are getting the full thing, which is the pumping for the solids and the liquids, then you are effectively getting a credit now.
Yes.
When you're not paying the same rate that everybody else is paying, you're paying less, that's a credit.
That's not how we see it.
Well, I know you don't see it that way,
Because
but there's
that's
a
not-
difference
If
there.
you go back, you weren't here, okay, Counselor? But if you go back, we've had this discussion before. It's like reselling this whole thing over again, you guys. We're not trying to be a jerk here. We're trying to get this fair and balanced. That's all we're trying to do. This
But
there
you're
was
paying less than everybody else is
Speak for
paying.
me, please.
There was a credit before in 2020 and that was removed. That's what we're trying to reinstate. I understand that you see, I know, and so I understand that you've like rearranged all of the rates of what you would charge for this and what you would charge for that. But what I'm explaining is just like in 2020, the rate that you charged all of the residents is the rate that you charged us. And then there was a credit for the step system we have. That was how it was across the board. And now we're the only ones that are excluded from this benefit. And so it's not really that we're getting a discount from it. It costs more money than that.
So what I'm understanding is that you guys get a $12,000 credit and you're asking for a $15,000 credit. Right?
Correct, that 1,500 per month.
No, it would be, no, you're talking about, yeah,
Or 18,000,
18,000,
sorry.
Right.
So you're just asking for the credit that you are already receiving to be increased to allocate for the inflation prices that you have to pay now.
Well, that's part of it, but the credit was taken away entirely. So we're not getting.
That's where we're getting confused, Mr. Barnett. We're not trying to be argumentative. We're just
Okay.
trying to understand the entire picture. Because we have staff who actually looks at the bill and says that you're receiving a $12,000 credit and you are telling us you don't see it that way and that you're not getting one.
Okay, so.
I'm just trying to
Totally
bring it
understand.
down, so it's like, this is what it is and trying to
It's
understand.
kind of confusing.
Yes.
And I get it.
Okay,
Totally get it.
so we're just trying to understand.
Sure, I inherited this mess, not you guys, but we're trying to work with the city and it's like
Yes.
the city just tells us no. And
Okay,
it's like, you know, we bring hospitality tax, we're trying to
yes,
make the resort a great place to
Yes.
bring revenue for the city, for goodness sakes. But this system costs more than it would be if we paid the higher rate.
yes,
So what I'm saying is, even if we paid the higher rate, we'd love to have the higher rate. Charge us. You come and pump our tanks. It's costing us more than that.
Yeah.
So instead of $75 a month, this costs us $100 a month. That's where I'm trying to get at, Council. So
thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you.
So if you were to upgrade your system, so the city could come and pump it out, since it's according to Mr. Aaron there, that it's unreachable, then we could pump it out for you.
that's not true. They can come and pump it today, just like they do like everything else. Econo Rooter has told me that the city is totally capable of pumping our system just like anybody else. It doesn't have to meet, there is no quote city standard when you take the lid off and put your hose in. Just saying.
I'm not sure about that.
Mayor Edwards told me previously that they subcontracted out the pumping services.
And that's why Econo Rooter helped you guys at one time.
I think Roto-Rooter, not Econo.
And they
Roto
use Osprey as well. That's how we got all this information, you guys. So we learned over the years having to deal with things that break and stuff. And we're like, hey, city, can you help us out with this? Oh, no, we ain't helping. That's your problem.
The city has never pumped your system ever in its
Not that
history.
I'm aware of. 7 years we've owned it. No, not that I'm aware of. And Mr. Smalley, who developed the resort and went through the whole entire process with the city, he may have. Those records I don't have. Because in the very beginning, that could have been an agreement. When you go back to when he applied, he asked for 300 sites. And the city adopted that. And at that time, it didn't say that he would pump his own stuff. It just says that the city would provide and charge. And he made installments of an SPD of $67,000.
Do you know, Aaron, if the city has ever pumped that system out? in
Not to my
history?
knowledge, no, and I believe you went back to the documents, it was set up as a private system. Never intended to be maintained by the city. I've seen it, I can recall.
And that was also at a time when it was people that, it was just vacationers and stuff. It wasn't permanent residents.
Park models that were not. It was all one single parcel.
And then those parcels that are in there shouldn't be permanent residents, but they got slipped through the city somehow as well. They were supposed to be vacation, right? Absolutely. But since now that so-called village is now mostly permanent. So, and they got away with, nobody regulates that. The city's not regulating it either. And we can't regulate it. So it's like its own private entity with parcels of land that they own, and they're doing whatever they want on their land. There's no regulation, none whatsoever.
Right. You have a question for me, or are you just, I think unless you have more questions for the Barnetts, you know, you have options. You can approve the request, you can deny the request, you can continue the request and ask staff to do more research or to bring back something. specific if you need more information. But that's, unless there's something I'm not thinking of, that's your options.
I think for me, and that's partially because, again, I'm new at this, I'd like to do motion for a continuation on this to get some more information. Because I really don't think there's sufficient.
Okay, so you need to tell staff exactly what information you want, because I don't know what else to bring you. So you'd have to be specific in what you want us to bring you back to help you make a decision.
I guess I need clarification on, the gentleman said that the credit was removed. And I guess I just don't understand that, because he's getting a discount in his rate monthly in the difference in the two. And whether you call it a discount or you call it a credit, to me, it's the same thing. So I guess I don't understand.
Yeah, and that's your, and that's not something we can bring back, because that information, so that's a discrepancy you're having with what he is saying versus the staff report or what you're seeing.
Okay.
So that, yeah, I don't know how else to present that to you.
Trying to differentiate here.
And we had two counselors here that adopted it before that understood it, so that's why I'm.
I completely understand that you got the credit to begin with. What I'm not seeing is where it was taken away.
Yeah.
And I can't find it, and I don't understand that.
Stephanie, did you have that conversation with Melissa? I think you did you?
Well, there was minutes in, I think it was June. Oh, let's see. Yeah, okay, I provided this, let's see. No, that's not it. Yeah, I don't think I provided a copy of it, but it was the minutes from either June or July that said that they were removing all previously agreed upon reductions. Again, that was something that I didn't receive until October though, so I wasn't aware of that. But so again, I hope this makes sense, but what we're saying is that the 2020 rates in that box, those rates were the same rates that everyone in the city paid. And then there's a discount for the step system. And so I understand that in 22, it was rearranged to charge the step systems higher. But what we're looking at to compare apples to apples is in 2020, the whole city rate minus the step. And now it's the whole city rate with no credit for the step. So we're just trying to compare apples to apples so that it looks the same and that it's, equitable.
Okay, but Stephanie, you're saying you're comparing apples to apples, but you're already given a discount on a monthly basis from the 1,200, I think is what it was, versus, or excuse me, the 7,000, excuse me, 770.98 total to, and you're paying 67.16. So there's already a discount there. So I guess I'm just, I don't see where you don't see that that's a discount in what you're paying already.
Well, I understand that they've changed the system so that they charge the step systems more now, but
Everybody got charged more.
Yeah,
It was the
everybody-
whole city got charged more. The rates were,
The unit we build. If I remember right, every rate.
the whole entire city went up.
Permits went
Yeah.
up, everything had to be changed, and I do remember a conversation about, I believe something about that. We couldn't do these discounts again, or they weren't legal, or something was put into play. And I remember a brief conversation about this, but I don't remember.
They were paying a less amount.
Yeah, because they're already paying a lesser amount, and I believe aren't like RVs and stuff, a even smaller amount than a resident for their units being charged. Am I wrong on that?
Previously, they were charged.
Okay, so it seems like the RV park's already being charged.
Well, we reset them. So we reset them to the one dwelling unit because it's a family.
Because before they were like, what, 3 years?
Yes, yeah.
So we're just
Yeah.
asking for a fair balance, guys. That's all we're trying to ask. What can we do? Because we'd love for the city to take care of our system.
But if it's a private system and you're paying a lesser rate because you only pump liquids, then the city should not be in charge of a private tank. And they should be responsible for pumping it because it's a private tank that's not up to code.
Yeah, but you have private, other private residences that have their own private tanks that they pay for. The city's still coming to their system.
And they're paying more.
And they're paying a higher rate. Yeah. As a contractor, all those tanks have to be inspected, I think, every couple of years. If they're not to code, they have to be replaced and completely redone at the cost, at the expense of the property owner. So, I mean, we could have the city come and pump your tank, but you need to upgrade your tank at your expense to make it feasible for us to be able to pump it.
And that's not gonna happen. So, okay, so that's not gonna happen at this time. After we expand the resort, which we'd like to do, to bring more commerce to the city of Lakeside and more hospitality tax, we'd love to do that. However, we've got to do steps to be negotiable. We're a business. We're trying to help work with the city on this. We're not asking for handouts. Okay, we're a business. We understand it. And if you guys don't understand it, then maybe we can have another discussion on this, but you're gonna have to be specific on what you want. Because we already got this passed before, explaining the whole entire thing right up here tonight.
Can our city manager tell us if there was a discount or a credit that was removed from the bill?
No, they're still getting the credit. That's exactly what we're talking about. Everybody's rates in town went up, everybody's, including the people that own step systems. So when that step system rate went up for everybody who had a step system in town had that same rate. Everybody who had a regular gravity fed, your sewer rates went up, obviously. And remember, they went up twice to the 2024 rate because of the fact that we weren't recouping enough and you had given some of these allowances to other places. And so everybody who had negotiated before, and Osprey was not the only one, there were other RV resorts that came in. Everybody's bills went up. The whole town went on the 2024 level. And so what they got was the credit for the step system because they're pumping their own solids when everybody else is paying now the more money for the new rate. Again, sad to say, in July, it's going to go up again because it's on the 5-year rate study program. And so the other RV resorts that also had come in and negotiated, they got the same rate sheets done. We sent them out to them. We showed them what they were being charged for. And literally, they're paying it. So we did have one customer come in and I asked him about what they had on. Again, we're trying to be fair. I mean, to the best of staff's ability to not infringe on council's, job. Like I said, we're not charging the Barnetts for everything in that resort. We're not charging them the extra EDU for the dump station and some of the other stuff.
Right.
One of the customers did call and was going over some things, and they actually had mentioned they had a facility we didn't know about. And so when I added that to their bill, they're like, whoa, wait. So they're kind of still paying the same, but they're paying the higher rate, but so next year we'll add to that audit, but of some things that we didn't know. Yeah.
We can't get it.
Yeah.
What's going on? I mean, that's council's fault. It's the city's fault, city manager's fault. All we're trying to say, I'm not accusing you guys, I'm just saying your predecessors messed this whole thing up. And all we're trying to ask is some type of discount for us to maintain the system like we were. It's in there. I know you guys see it differently. We see it differently.
I see
And our
what you're
attorney
saying.
sees it.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that's why I'm here tonight, to avoid a litigation scenario, because we don't see it the way that it's being brought to us. That's all I'm saying.
I think Aaron had something to say.
Yeah, as the engineer that worked with the rate analysis, the council can obviously elect to give credits, but I would advise the council that in order to keep your rates growing at the rate they are, you're gonna have to make a tough decision. Where do you shift your subsidies to? If you subsidize one, are you going to shift those costs back to residential or to other commercial? But you need to focus on, you're going to have loans and fees that you have to pay for with the new plan. So however you shift that, and that's what the reset did when they redid the rate allocations. Eventually, put everyone back to the same playing field. Instead of having some get a discount, some not. It's simplified. There's not a simple way to put a meter on every individual house to measure their BOD, which is biological oxygen demand, and TSS. In a perfect world, if you only flush your toilet once a day, probably pay a lower rate than if a household of 5 flushed it 30 times. But we don't have that capability, and that's where it reset it back to a baseline that was our interpretation fair and representative.
And I will say, this doesn't have to do with Osprey, but just for an instance, the water department, because they are allowed to meter, they still have programs in place, like for snowbirds. If you're here 6 months, you get it. Guess what? If we don't know if you're in flushing the toilet or not, so the snow, the vacationers and the 6 months of the year people, they're paying their rate all year long.
Right.
And so I would imagine they would have a case to come and say, and try to negotiate down. So I think, and when you, to Councilwoman Coates's point, when you get those USDA loans, those federal loans, they don't like to see that you're negotiating rates for different private parties. That sends red flags for them. And you do have to show that you have maintained a rate and that you've had that study and you've stuck to it and that you are recouping those funds and you have them in your account, because you don't get a loan without money, unfortunately. I mean, you'd think that's the point, is we need a loan because of the money, but you have to have that money in that pot growing to show that you can get that loan. We have to have a certain percentage in there. And that's what last year was all about, is we didn't have it. It wasn't growing. We weren't accruing. And so hopefully there'll be a difference this year. But again, we're still going to have to do that rate increase. And we have to show that if we want to continue that project for that $14 million.
So last question for me. And I'm sorry, it's from being an auditor for 30 years. I question things. They're getting charged the gravity fed rate of the 6716.51, correct? It's on that
6580. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this particular form where the total. So that's what they're paying now, correct?
No,
That's what their total bill is supposed to be now. Yes.
Okay. And everybody else on here is paying 7798.60.
The step people, the people that own step systems in our town are paying the step. Yes.
So that's the step system rate versus the gravity fed rate that
Right.
he's paying.
Right.
There's a $1,200 difference roughly between that.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, maybe it's just stupid, but to me, that's a discount. You can call it a credit, but you can call it whatever you want, but it's a discount.
Sorry,
And that's
Counselor, we don't see
$1,200.
it that way, okay? We don't
Well,
see
I
it that way.
understand that you don't see it.
You're not seeing what we're seeing.
I understand that you're not seeing that, but that in black and white, you are paying $1,200 less a month than somebody who has a step system that you
Okay,
you
well,
are getting a discount.
what we're gonna do here, we can avoid future confrontation. I don't want it to. We either come to an agreement and we can delay this meeting and you guys can talk, and let's come to a meeting that makes sense. We're gonna get his number over here, because my wife asked for his number, and we're gonna have a discussion with Aaron, because Aaron did chime in tonight. We'll get his name and number and see if we can work this out, because there's definitely a problem. And I don't want to see a big problem. If there's a problem, and I'm not saying that you guys are all in compliance, the city of Lakeside is not in compliance. So I'm just saying that I don't want to open up a can of worms. So let's just try to be reasonable and see what we can do. That's it. Anything else? Any questions? Thank you.
Well, yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion for denial of extended credit to Osprey Point and Chris Burnett.
I second the motion.
All right, is any more discussion on that?
Wait, who second?
I will.
You can do Ritter.
Any more discussion on that? No. All right, all in favor?
I.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, Dyer Engineering project updates.
Yeah, my name is Aaron Speakman, the president of the partnership, we're engineers, we work on the engineering projects, and I'm going to do an update on 4 topics. First one is the airport grants. City, Dyer came in and helped the city bid that, and we just completed that project. And as far as I know, the city got final funding for that, the contract has been paid. If you haven't seen that, that's the new black vinyl curved fence out there. It's paid for with all grants. We've been working on the railroad crossing project for a year now, year and a half.
Again, just to interrupt you, because I'm going to say it as many times, but remember that Dyer Engineering did chip in for the match. So we always want to give them credit.
Just for the council knows, if you get a grant, such things free money, you should absorb that cost. But it usually runs in the 7 to 10% administration costs. They didn't want to see that grant fly away, not to use, so we did go ahead and do that. It's not taking a grant, not very difficult for us. I have great staff, Joey Burns, and Rachel Campbell, administration for us. We were able to get that done for the city. If you're going to go after additional grants, call us. Give you some free advice on, please budget this, whether it's Dyer or grant administrator. We can point you in the direction. The railroad crossing project that has been bid and awarded to Rocky Clifton. It's been a struggle to get there. There's 2 agencies that have provided funding, 3 agencies that provided funding for that. In addition to the city, there's a ODOT fund from the Middle Road Fund, and there's a ODOT Rail Fund. Both of those grants and loans and grants were $100,000 each. And the county was contributing some additional funds too as well. What came up this week that we've must have helped navigate through was that apparently when they did the railroad upgrade for the I guess it's the east side existing crossing, the railroad only replaced half the road ties. Those ties need to be length in order to be wide enough to allow them to put the concrete panels on top. The railroad didn't notify us of that. They're paved over. You can't really see. The contractor went out there, poked around, moved some asphalt. Found out they aren't wide enough. The west side, the ties are only 8 feet. So then there was all of a sudden instantly a budget shortfall. Melissa has been working with ODOT, and last I heard today was that they were going to cover, I think, 11,000 additional, which should cover most of that cost. So we're working with the contractor. They've been good and patient, waiting on better weather. As soon as we get better weather, we're going to work with the contractor and get him to replace that line. If there's any questions on the railroad crossing project, let us know. The utilities put in since we did our plans, but we've worked around that, and that project's still moving ahead. The wastewater treatment plant upgrade project update. We're working on design, and part of the design is to pre-select the equipment for that north side membrane. We did a bid package that got approved by the ARPA funds, got their approval and blessing to go to bid, and went to bid. We received 1 bid for the membrane equipment last month, and we're still in negotiations with that bidder. It was bid as a proposal, so they get a firm price. But then it's such a complicated bid that we have to go through and make sure that all the components that are needed for that new plant are clarified in that contract, because that contract ultimately gets transferred to the contractor to build it. But instead of designing that facility twice, if we got a different manufacturer on bid day, we elected to bid that to the order procurement process, get that selected. And right now, there is a lot of negatives of inflation, but I will say that the bid came in roughly 300,000 under our original bid in 2022. But I put a big asterisk by that because that contract with a contractor does have escalation clauses which are tied to the engineer's record cost index. So right now, the bid's a little bit less than we had budgeted, but I don't want to give a false hope that it's not going to be higher because I don't know what inflation is going to be. But as of right now, that price is locked into today's price, and we have a agreed upon escalation. Good job. So as of right now, we work with Rick and City. We've pre-selected our basic design for the headworks equipment. The membrane got bid. We know we're going to do on the effluent disinfection. And we have a preliminary plan in place, and we're gonna, as soon as we get this contract approved for the membrane, we will solicit the work of our structural engineers and electrical engineers and start heavy design on it. With the goal in mind to have design done by December 2024.
Which is only
We're still on
30%
track for
done.
that. The schedule is presented. Still on track for that. It is gonna be a lot of work between now and October. Rick's been good to work with. It's gonna be pretty much streamlined his goals and wishes, and from all intents and purposes, it looks from the wastewater side straightforward. Not envision any major hurdles at this point. It's been a lot of work. On the tail end of that wastewater plant project through the north side, you got a $14.6 million ARPA grant. That total facility was estimated around 19 million. Sorry. So there's still a small deficit on budget there. We're hesitant to add to that right now because your ARPA funds do not require any environmental permitting, and they're streamlined for the design, for the bidding and construction process. Business Oregon right now did not want to muddy the water, so to speak, by entering funds that would trigger that money to be have to go back to a regulatory review process that would jeopardize your $14 million grant. So we're focusing on the wastewater plant, and that plant will give you a total functional plant in the sense of all the wastewater facilities. It will not provide, maybe all the sidewalks, all the asphalt, future building for a lab, but we are working with the city to get funding for it, and that'll be under a separate revenue stream. Probably be rural development of Business Oregon. I can't tell you exactly which. Another capital improvement project outlined in the wastewater facilities plan included 2 pump stations, competition 1 to 2. 2 is just down the street, and 1's over by the caves. Just this week, we filled out a legislative funding application on behalf of the city. City approved that, and we went ahead and submitted that. We don't know if we're going to get any money from that or not. If we do get loan and grant from that, we'll be routed back through DQ, is my understanding. Working on getting some additional funding coming. Everything's looking really good on the membrane plant. Geotech was bored last month. If you guys saw drill rig up there, that's what that was. That facility will be designed to current seismic code. Yeah, everything's going pretty good on the.
Great, great.
If you look at the original schedule, the membrane procurement already in place by now, but it overlaps our final design. Working with Rick, we're probably, in my mind, a little bit ahead of schedule as far as the overall design. It doesn't transpire directly on the schedule, but the end date of December is still. Questions, concerns on that?
It's amazing what you have to go through.
Next question from the audience.
Don't look me.
You had said December 2024 for design. Did you mean 23 or 2023? Okay. Quote me on that. I've got them in red here because they're pretty important dates. You had said design would be completed by December 2024. Contracts have to be awarded, all contracts have to be awarded by 12/31 of 2024. Yeah, design was going to go through January of 2024. Our goal would be to have a 90% set in November, December, and off to DQ. Right now, DQ is shown in February of 2024. But through the process of working, when we estimate the schedule, truthfully, I don't know how set the city, Rick, and the operators are going to be on certain pieces of equipment. And so far, we've all been in agreement that this is the equipment we should be using. There hasn't been a lot of research required, like we have to go find out, Rick wants a certain piece of equipment, I have to go research that. He's agreed with most of the recommendations we've had.
Okay,
Which has
good.
been very helpful.
Good.
So that's where I think we're gonna make up some ground on that schedule. There still is some fluff in that schedule. We show 4 months for DQ review. At the time when we did the estimate, DQ was taking about 4 months to code. It's back down to around 2-3 months review. So I think that's gonna get better with time. We're gonna keep pushing, and there'll be some council meetings, we'll have some updated plans soon, some of the council meetings. And Heard you asking questions. Melissa's real good about routing the questions to us. We love to answer. I love answering them. I'd rather keep you guys in the know than not.
We appreciate it.
And schedule updates, if you want a specific schedule update, just email her and I'll give you a copy.
Yeah, and the plan is it's been pretty quiet for a while. I mean, we've been in this design phase, which is only 30% done. About, right?
Depends which.
Yeah.
aspect. So
Anyway, yeah, right. But as it ramps up and we start hitting milestones, Aaron will come, and I like to have him come monthly, but you only have one meeting a month. So it's kind of like, I don't want to do that to him. He's very busy, but as things ramp up and there are important milestones, we definitely, like tonight, we'll have him here to give you those updates. So, and then I can always keep you informed also.
The plant we're designing for you, it's not cookie to everybody. Dyer designed 8+ of those plants. And DQ has worked with Dyer on all 8 of those designs. So
Okay.
all the equipment and the processes we're recommending and Rick's supporting are proven equipment and proven technologies that DQ is proven past. So that's one of the things that's going to help speed this process. Might have to reinvent. But the bidder we did get on the membranes is probably longest standing United States membrane installations. There's one advantage, guys. We put the first one in the United States for Benedictines, and they're still in the original membranes. They're run a lot of septic effluent through their plant. Municipal, they're a true municipal plant. But it still shows the longevity. We're projected in your bid documents for 10 to 12 year membrane.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you for the tour earlier. Really informative.
Still trying to get warm.
All right, next. 4th of July banner discussion.
So Mayor, the last meeting, we had a discussion about whether the council would like to buy some 4th of July banner to go over the road, much like we had the Christmas lights. It was brought up that we could probably get a more affordable option going local. And so I reached out to several companies, and we did have I reached out to like 10 companies in the Coos, North Bend, and Lakeside area. We actually had 2 very local people submit proposals. So you have them in your packet. If you're still interested, I mean, it's not a council first, if you still want to do this, so you can make that decision. If you do want to purchase a banner, then there's 2 proposals in there for you to consider. Did the picture not print out for the second one?
Yellow,
Oh,
it's just a yellow square for me.
no,
You're talking about this one?
no. The one for the second. I just noticed in my packet, it's not even in here.
Oh, yeah, that had 3 lines.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I don't show it.
Do you have a picture you did like hold up? We can act it out for the parades.
Right?
Are you talking about the? Well,
the second. So you have,
this says-
Well, that's not good.
4th of July.
well, that's not good.
I have one, so welcome to Lakeside. I don't see it printed out. Where's the packet?
That's Adam Hands. And then there's the one for,
And then this is
Yeah, I
the
don't
prices for
show-
those.
and then there's one for an enterprise analysis.
Yeah, that's just the corner of that.
It's just the corner.
Yeah.
It was in a weird. Oh, man. I don't have access to this computer.
Either way, it looks like they're the same size, 4 by 40.
Mhm.
Estimate.
Mhm.
Are they both mesh?
Yeah, yeah.
So they're
Yes.
comparable.
Yeah.
They are comparable.
Shoot. I don't have it. We have time, so I can get you, we can bring this back.
Yeah.
Next month, I can bring you back
Yeah,
the
I-
proposals again, and then, I will actually have the picture in a better format for you. I can't, yeah. It was on the computer, it was in the packet, and then when it prints it, probably, it just doesn't correlate.
Alrighty, yeah, and maybe have both of the people here to discuss.
When you have proposals, it's kind of hard to start discussions on them because people can add more than what you have in front of you.
Okay.
Probably not a good
So
practice.
should we just bring this back up when we have the?
Yeah, I'll bring it to you next month.
Because we have time.
We have
Yeah,
time.
we have.
We have time.
Okay. So we will table that for now.
Mhm.
All right, guess what time it is? It's time for approval of the budget calendar, budget officer and budget committee appointments. All right. Am I supposed to read the budget calendar?
No, it's in your packet. You just have to approve it and then approve the appointments for the budget.
Members.
Yes. The budget committee and the budget officer, it's standard usually in most cities that your city manager is your budget officer. Or sometimes in bigger cities, it can be your finance director, but for the most part, it's your city manager, and it's by state law says you have to appoint. So to make it official, but then also you have 2 new members for your budget committee that we got this year. So
All right, so that will be,
The ones in red.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's another person that the mayor I emailed that didn't make it into the packets. I just got it, I think yesterday or today. So,
okay.
which I think I have on you. You have. But I know.
All right.
Was it that is Sean? You didn't get the email? We can do it next meeting. We have time.
Yeah, I show, okay, it's Linda Sherrick for a 3-year term, 2023 to 2026. And David Smith, from 2023 to 2026. We still, yeah, we have 2 open.
You'll have 1 open position because you have another person that applied.
Okay. And we also have Mary Kenyon, Adam Hand, and Mark Crouch. Those are 2022 to 2025. So that makes up our budget committee for now. So could I get a motion to approve this?
I move we approve the budget.
Second.
All right. Motion made by Councilor Pointer and seconded by Councilor Miller to approve the budget calendar and appointees. Any discussion?
No.
No. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And I'll get that. Obviously, I'll get that in the. All right. Next, district board and committee report. Airport.
So the airport board met, boy, it was what, a month ago on a Saturday night. Saturday night. Yeah, so we met here at City Hall and we discussed rents. The rent increase for them, which was a very spirited discussion. And then also some maintenance and some wish lists that the airport advisory committee would like to see. Some basically just sprucing up, some concerns about staff leaving the gate open, locking, how we're going to lock the gates, but that kind of thing. People flying in, tie downs, are they going to charge for tie down rates? And just that kind of general thing. They did commit to meeting more regularly. And so I think they're meeting, it's the third Saturday, I think, or something. We'll have them posted if we do, or we'll try to. They're not, the records, I'm finding records where they're a committee, but then I'm finding records where they're not a committee. So I don't know if they were ever really appointed. The city doesn't really, I don't see an ordinance that they're a commission. So I'm not sure if they're legitimate. So that's something we have to do more background. I can't figure it out. And so it might be something that if the city's moving forward with any kind of vision or movement with the airport, we probably want to at some point have an ordinance and legitimize an airport advisory board. Until then, they're just kind of meeting and giving suggestions.
All right, watershed, Councilor Long.
No, there's no meetings next week.
Okay. Water district.
The auditor came and gave Lakeside Water District a thumbs up, good job on all of their accounts. They're all in good standing. They're in the process of hiring office help as Karen is retiring. They've got 2 or 3 applicants for that. Still working on getting grant money for projects. And the CDC computer system is changing some of the way that things are getting done. Some like it, some don't, but it's more up to date. And they're getting ready to post a rate change. They'll have that out and about, and they'll probably take it in effect in about 3 months from now. They didn't say how much it was going to be though.
Okay. Did anybody happen to go to 10 Mile Lake Association or canceled? Oh, that's right. Fire district.
Okay, we met last night and everything is hunky-dory for the fire department. They answered 43 calls last month, 2 of which were actual fires. Their Easter egg hunt is coming up April 8th, and they have 7,800 eggs with a goal of 10,000. And they're having an egg stepping workshop on the 25th of March. And let's see, that is about it. Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. And council votes, Lakeside business owners.
They haven't had a meeting yet. I think they have a get together later this month.
All right, city manager report. Were you gonna read the library?
Oh, I wasn't going to read it. I just
Oh.
kind of gave it to you.
Okay,
Yeah, that was already approved.
She was,
okay.
she was on vacation when our packets came out, and I told her not to worry about it. And then she stressed and worried about it. So you have something. Thank you, Mayor. As you know, Aaron did a overall really good job with our updates and took most of my thunder away about that. So just so you know, the Coos Rail, the ODOT is giving us the extra money to finish that project. So that's good. We're excited about that. I did contact Coos Rail in full disclosure and ask them to contribute because they're one that hasn't contributed and it is their rail line. They refused. And so they wouldn't give us the 10,000. And that's when I contacted Oregon Rail. Coincidentally enough, they also asked that council provide a letter of support for their mega grant for their container project. So I actually had forwarded you the language for what would be in the letter of support. So if I can get a consensus of nodding of heads that you would like me to send that letter of support, I will do so.
Yes.
No matter how perturbed I am at them right now. Okay. More exciting news. Everybody has this homeless issue. It's very prevalent. If you haven't witnessed Patty Mulvihill, her presentation or seen it, she's absolutely fabulous. She is a League of Oregon Cities. She used to be their general attorney. I actually was involved in Oregon management when she came on, and just loved her then. And she's always been somebody who could draw you in with her presentations and put everything down to a level that even I can understand. And so she has agreed to come to Lakeside at our April meeting, council meeting. Well, I won't say she's agreed. It was one of the dates she threw out and I threw it back to her. So I'm waiting for her to say yes, but I'm assuming that that date will be fine to come and give her homeless presentation about what the law actually is and what cities can actually do. I think it will clear up a lot misinformation and rumors and questions that our citizens have. And so that's going to be a really, really good thing for us, because she's very good at what she says and how she presents it. And she sticks with the law and what Oregon and what cities and what we can do and can't do. And so I'm excited about that, because her time is really precious. She's now the executive director of League of Oregon Cities. She has been on the road, and she is doesn't have a lot of time, but she agreed to come do this for us. And so I want to make sure that we're very thankful about that and cognizant of her time. And so look for that happening in April. And then as mentioned, you noticed, and obviously the citizens did too, the ATV ordinance was not on your agenda this month. And I did send an email to the council explaining why, but I will say it out loud for the citizens. The ordinance was done originally and codified, and then there were 2 amendments, subsequent amendments done. When they codified, they never sent or kept their codification subscription or whatever, and they've never sent the ordinances in to update that. And so when you codify your ordinances, you put them into a certain form, which is what cities should do. It's a good thing. But then when you start adding ordinances on and you don't do anything with them, they pile up and they just sit there. And then to go and find out what your actual ordinance says is very difficult for anybody. So this is part of the problem we've had with the planning ordinances. This is part of the problem we have with our city ordinances right now, is we have half codification and then just a pile of ordinances that have amended codified ordinances. So if somebody says, what is our rules on this? It's hard to give a straight answer, which also lends to the problem with people thinking you're not transparent, because you really can't answer a question very easily. So what I'm having to do, there is great technology where you can amend PDFs and try to work it. Unfortunately, the way our codification is, I can't amend the PDF and stick in the amendments to try to get back to what we actually have on the books and then work from there. So I'm having to retype out the old-fashioned way by hand, our original ordinance, go back to the amending ordinance, take out, subtract, add, and then I have to go to the next ordinance. And it's been a really busy month, no excuse, but it just fell. It fell. And so the ATV enthusiasts and the council should be very excited about what I bring back. Again, lending to the fact that we're going to slim it down, but there is some purpose language, there is some definitions that I have to make sure I don't want to lose things, and I don't want to, subtract things or add things that don't need to be. So what you're going to get is very slimmed down, but I have to make sure it's what we actually need and have, and I didn't mess anything more up. And so it's basically going to be, here's the map, here's your route, and obey the laws of the state. That's what you're going to get. So and you can vote on it and you can say no, but that's kind of what I'm hearing to bring back. So to our citizens' point, if they're driving at night and they're obeying the traffic laws and they have all the equipment they're supposed to have and blinkers and stuff, and what the sheriff's going to look for, there should be no reason why we care if they're at night or not, because as a city, they're looking at their code, not ours. Sheriffs don't want to memorize 3 different cities' codes. They're only going to go by what they cite. Right. And so it doesn't lend us to have something different that they have to know, because they're not going to give those citations. They don't care. And so what I bring back will be hopefully to the ATV world friendly. I just have to get it done. And it's going to be a little bit of a battle for me to sit there and type out. And we've had a really busy month. So I Promise, I'm hoping I'll have it for you next month. Again, this week, why it's been a busy week, we had our branding and logo visioning team here. And they were very excited. They came, we got to get them out on the lake and we had them up at the dunes, thanks to Counselor Hearn. And she didn't scare them too bad. They came
Yeah,
back.
I screamed a couple times.
Yeah, they had smiles on their faces. The fireboat was exciting because we were about halfway out and the chief was on the boat with us. And I said, what happened? I said, who's on duty? Chief Robert said, I am. And I said, what if you get a call? And I got the word call out of my mouth, barely, with the L still hanging there, and he got a call. And so we quickly got dropped off and he went on his call. So, but they did get enough out there to see. They also went to our cemetery. They tootled around. We went to the county park. We went to, I took them everywhere. So even took them to the ocean because they wanted to see how close the nearest ocean was. They took lots of pictures. They were very excited. We had our visioning session with our stakeholders, our visioning team. And then we'll keep you advised. They're going to bring back vision boards for the core team. And then eventually council will see the final product and vote on it. And so we'll keep you assessed. The core values that came out of it are the core principles for the tourism vision. I think they're absolutely great. And when that PowerPoint that they did comes available, we'll send it out to the world so you guys can see what was going on. That is all I have.
All right. Council comments. Councilor Hearn.
Well, I'd like to thank Aaron again, but apparently he got proud.
He wanted to go home. He's done for
Yeah,
the day.
done for the day. It was a fascinating tour of the sewer. It's off my bucket list now. But to know that the sewer was built in the 70s, and I know sometimes you only think that's 30 years ago, but it's more like 50 years ago. And I know how I feel, and I was built in the 50s. So yeah, some things do need to be replaced. So I'm excited for the new wastewater retreatment plant. This Saturday is the pancake feed at the Senior Citizen from 8:30 to 11. And then on March 25th, it's going to be a busy day. I am hosting a meet and greet type of meeting at the Lakeshore Lodge in the back room for anybody who wants to do any crafting, whether you want to teach it, whether you want to learn it, or whether you just want to come and see what's available. I appreciate everybody to come. We're going to have a little bit of a questionnaire to fill out so we can see what's in Lakeside, that people can learn stuff and we can get together and come together as a community. I'm really excited. I've got some really good people that have already chimed in. So my specialty is quilting. So if you want to learn how to stab something several times, I can teach you. That's all I got.
All right.
I'd just like to thank Dyer for the tour on the sewer plant. It was very eye-opening. And it's good to know that we're going to have a new updated system that's actually going to work, at least for a while, before I start replacing parts. And I just want to say, everyone in the audience, thank you for showing up. It's nice to see people in the audience. And that's all I got.
I forgot. Thank the sheriff's department for coming out and getting us all prepared for the tsunamis. That's the only thing I'm afraid of.
Emergency management.
Yeah.
I'm good for earthquakes.
Snowstorms.
We got a fireplace. We're good.
So mine's completely gonna be weird. Somebody in our community has dumped off rabbits on Railroad and 8th Street, and a couple of them have been hit by cars. And I only managed to catch 2 of them. So if you are dumping rabbits, please don't. Just take them to my house and I will rehome them, because that's really sad to watch little baby bunnies get smashed on the road. And I'd also like to speak on behalf of the fire department and have people donate eggs and candy and help them fill that for an Easter egg hunt. I will not be there this year, but other kids in the community deserve it. That's all.
All right.
Nothing for me this time. One of these days I will. You may be sorry that I do, but I want to thank you, the tour and for the sheriff's department, and also for you, Linda, what you brought as well on the update on that. And thank you for listening.
You guys said it all.
Gee. Wanted to thank everybody for showing up tonight. It's good to see an audience out there. You know, sometimes we don't. Thank you, Melissa, for handling all these little strange details that come up in projects and getting them figured out. I really appreciate Aaron's report on the various projects. Word enough.
All right, and I would like to personally thank Melissa for all that you do. Did you have something to say?
Madam Chair, if I could just, you had a caller asked about the town hall meeting that Bob Main was speaking to. And so there isn't a specific topic. It's all the commissioners. I can't get the location. I'll get that to.
Election charge.
It's all the commissioners and it's ask whatever you want.
Okay.
Anything and everything is a go.
Okay, yes, that's what I had received too, is open agenda. So, all right. But I would like to personally thank Melissa, the city manager, for everything she's done. She's been crazy busy and it has been a whirlwind this month. Thanks to the sheriff's office and thank you for everything you've done. I couldn't even imagine beginning something like that. Thank you, Linda. I like that train. I would like to thank Dyer, even though he ran out on us. It was a very eye-opening tour, sewer tour. You don't realize just how much sewer there is. A lot of poo out there. But I understand now why it needs to be replaced. There's just too much. I'd like to thank all of you guys. This has been a heck of an experience, so. But
I was gonna say, are you going somewhere?
Need to look. Would like to thank everybody for the support. It's interesting. It has been fun. And yes, don't forget the candies. Please, if you can drop off candy in the fire department, or if you can help stuff and pancake feed. And there was one other thing, but I don't remember what it is now, so I guess that's it. At this time, the council will go into executive session. The Lakeside City Council will now meet in executive session according to ORS 192.6602 to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive sessions. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. No decisions may be made in the executive session, and this concludes the live stream portion of our meeting. The meeting will be adjourned immediately following the executive session.
I'm a member of the Lakeside Free Press. I'm a member of one, but.
Yes, keep your hand.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for having me.
Thank